Hi and welcome to Aussie Griller. Now today I'm going to make some tasty barbecue pork chops with a crackling on the side. It's very easy. I've got a nice pork chop here with a good bit of fat along the side. And you really want it to be at least an inch to an inch and a half thick so it can stay on the barbecue for long enough to get the crackling going. Okay, now I'm going to brine this pork chop first. Get it nice and tender and moist and juicy. Get some good flavour through the chop. So I've got 1.5 litres of water, 3 tablespoons of salt, 3 tablespoons of sugar. Now make sure you get this mixed down to fridge temperature, or else you may fall victim to a bit of food poisoning. It's never good. Now I'm going to make a rub here. A tablespoon of brown sugar, teaspoon of onion powder, tablespoon of paprika, about half a teaspoon of garlic powder, and a bit of pepper. This is basically my pork rub number 2, but without the salt. Now I'm adding a bit of chili powder here too. It's up to you whether you do this. You just want to mix it together, get the lumps out of the brown sugar. Yeah, just like that. Now I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of this into the brine. Just mix it in. See, this salty water, what it does is the salt allows the moisture to travel into the meat. Hence it takes any other flavour in that water with it, so in our case the rub. Okay, now I'm just going to put a couple of pork chops into that brine. And I'm going to put this in the fridge for about 1.5 hours. You want to leave it in there for at least an hour. Don't leave it in there any longer than 1.5 hours though, or your chops will be too salty. So 1.5 hours on, I've rinsed off these chops, just rinsed off with some clean water. Patted them dry, taking special care to get the rind nice and dry for the crackling. Now I'm just going to go along the edge here and score the rind with a knife. Anyone who's done a roast pork before will know what this is all about. Now there's no salt in the rub, but I am going to add a bit of salt to the rind still. Going to help that blister. So rub it in there well. And you can use a bit of oil on the rind to help it stick, but it can cause it to blacken a bit more in the barbecue than you'd like. So another technique is you can put a bit of salt on the board and sort of pat the chop on there. Now I'm just going to put a bit of rub on those chops. So there's already some good flavour inside the meat of these chops, but this is just complementing it now and adding some good colour. Now be sure to cover both sides well. Now they're ready to hit the barbecue. Now I've got a charcoal nice and hot here. I'm going to start by searing them over the hot coals directly. Probably about 2 minutes each side here. You just want to give them a bit of colour and a sear. I'm going to do the cooking off the direct heat. Look at those. Some good looking chops right there. So a couple of minutes on, I'm going to turn over the pork chops. You see here they come along nicely. Nice colour there. I'm just going to swap them around so get some Nice even cooking. After another couple of minutes, I'm going to move them off the direct heat. Now what I'm going to do here is face the rind towards the fire. You basically want to line it up so it's just above the edge of the fire on the grill. So they don't burn, but so they get the most heat out of the whole chop till that crackling happen. Just gonna put a few soaked chips of hickory wood on. This is not essential, but it's pretty important to the flavour. We're not smoking these chops, we're just to complement the rub. It's very worthwhile on lamb, pork and beef. Just let it cook for, it can take about 10 minutes. Now look at those. I want to eat them now, but I'm going to put them in some foil and let them rest for 5 minutes. And serve with your favourite side. Apologies for the vegetables today, but I'm going to do something healthy here. For more information on this recipe or to check out my others, please visit www.aussiegriller.com.